Hello YouTubers. Today I'm going to explain why I'm a Justice Democrat. I'm going to explain some of the strengths of the Justice Democrats, and I'm also going to explain some of the shortcomings of the movement and how they can be improved. First, let's start with the bad. No movement is perfect and can always find room for improvement. In my opinion, the biggest problem is that despite their calls for inclusiveness, the Justice Democrats generally aren't very accepting of evangelical Christians. Some of the most prominent Justice Democrats frequently go on anti-Christian tirades on their programs, including Cenk Uygur, Kyle Kulinski, and Jimmy Dore. Not all Justice Democrats act in such a manner, but the most prominent ones do. To be fair, their criticisms are mostly aimed at the most extreme and ignorant of Christians. In my mind, this only furthers Augustine's point that ignorant Christians make all Christians look bad. Still, the attitude and actions of some prominent Justice Democrats gives the impression that they don't really want Christians in their club. They can talk about inclusiveness all they want, but actions speak a lot louder than words. Now here's the good part. Despite their mostly anti-Christian views, in terms of policy, Justice Democrats act more in accordance with the Bible than most Christians do. They obey the biblical commands to help the poor by providing health care, a higher standard of living, and by preventing corporations from influencing the government. They also obey the biblical commands to protect the environment. Finally, they obey the Bible by not prohibiting a God-given right. I've included a few biblical verses that show how Justice Democrats follow the biblical commands for helping the poor, protecting the environment, and why we shouldn't prohibit a God-given right. First, in Proverbs, it says, "Do not exploit the poor, because they are poor, and do not crush the needy in court, for the Lord will take up their case and will exact life for life." In Isaiah, it says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, and plead the case of the widow." For those who suggest that there is no biblical command to provide health care, I would encourage them to read Ezekiel. It says in Ezekiel, "Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to the shepherds of Israel, who only take care of themselves. Should not the shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, you clothe yourselves with wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not take care of the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays, or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally." Justice Democrats also want to protect the environment. Did you know that the Bible predicts climate change and even states the reason for it? It says that the earth dries up and withers, the world languishes and withers. The exalted of the earth languish. The earth is defiled by its people. They have disobeyed the laws, violated the statutes, and broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore a curse consumes the earth. Its people must bear their guilt. Therefore earth's inhabitants are burned up, and very few are left. Currently the earth is drying up and withering. It is defiled by its people, whom pollute it. That sounds a lot like climate change to me. Stated simply, climate change is a curse on the earth that we brought ourselves. Also, in terms of climate change, the Bible teaches us to take care of the land that God gave us, rather than to defile it. It says in Jeremiah that I brought you into a fertile land to eat its fruit and rich produce. But you came and defiled my land and made my inheritance detestable. In Revelation, it states that God will destroy those who destroy the earth. It says that the nations were angry, and your wrath has come. The time has come for judging the dead, and for rewarding your servants, the prophets, and your saints, and those who reverence your name, both small and great, and for destroying those who destroy the earth. I'm honestly not sure why some Christians are opposed to marijuana, but Justice Democrats want to legalize it. There's nothing about it being sinful in the Bible. It actually says the exact opposite, that the herbs that God created are good and can be used for consumption. It says that in Genesis 1:29. Also, Romans teaches that there's nothing unclean in and of itself. As Paul the Apostle stated, I know and am persuaded by the Lord Jesus that there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. So what's the path forward? Currently, even though many Justice Democrats call for inclusiveness, their actions seem to reflect otherwise. In my opinion, this is the biggest problem for Justice Democrats, and it's precisely why I encourage more Christians to join with Justice Democrats. It's also important to note that even though many Justice Democrats are mostly anti-Christian, they are unknowingly doing God's work. I guess it goes to show that you don't really need to be a Christian to know the difference between right and wrong. Hey folks, if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks once again.